Time for Monster Mondays with my favorite werewolf movie. Yes, my personal favorite werewolf movie. Bad Moon. Oh man, I am such a big fan of this movie. I actually thought about doing Werewolf Wednesdays. I think I've said that before, but there's just not enough. The werewolf subgenre is just a barren wasteland. Like, there is little gems here and there, and honestly, I think I've seen almost every werewolf movie ever made. No shit. Like, I went through and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna find them. Now, there's a couple I haven't seen, obviously, but man, not far off, because I don't know. I think that what it is that the werewolf subgenre is very hard to do well because it doesn't have a huge following, and you need a decent budget to be able to pull off the effects because your movie is made or broken by the effects within it. Especially since, like, American Werewolf in London came out. Once that happened, you couldn't bring in a stupid looking werewolf. It was just going to always be compared to that. One of my biggest pet peeves in werewolf movies for sure is the dog. Like, if someone just uses a straight up wolf or a dog, no, that is not acceptable. I'm sorry. It pisses me off. Anytime I'm watching a movie and the guy's like, oh, he's like transforming and then a dog comes out. That's why I didn't like Hemlock Grove. Like, when that happened, I was waiting for that show, and I was waiting for that show. And I was like, oh, here we go. Because I heard like Eli Roth was going crazy, and he was like, yeah, man, Netflix lets you do whatever you want. It's just so cool. And I was like, oh man, they got a budget. They can do literally anything they want. This is going to be gruesome. The werewolf's going to look awesome. And then the guy starts to rip apart, and I'm like, yes. And then it's a dog. And I'm like, a fucking dog? A dog? Really? Wow, what a cop-out and a fucking half. Okay, a werewolf stands on two legs and is like 8 feet tall. Watch Dog Soldiers, Bad Moon for for a reference point. Anyway, let's get into this movie itself. Now, I want to say thank you to Keen Gross for buying this Blu-ray for me. He knew it was my favorite werewolf movie, and just I hadn't had it yet, and he bought it for me. And Stephen Arthur for watching this recently and reminding me, like, shit, this would be a perfect movie to watch for Monster Mondays. He watched it a couple days ago, and I was like, yes. All right. So the movie opens the way all horror movies should open, with sex and gore and awesome practical effects and heads blowing up. Hell yes. Right off the bat, tits and blood. That's what you want to see. The Blu-ray is gorgeous. If you're a fan of this movie and you're like, should I get it? Absolutely yes, it is worth every cent. The practical effects, the werewolf. Let's talk about this werewolf. This is my favorite on-screen werewolf ever. I love the animatronics in him. I love the way it moves. I love the practical effects within it, whether it's the gore or the werewolf itself. I love this werewolf. My God, he's just so terrifying. He looks awesome. This is what I envision when I think of a werewolf, is I think of the Bad Moon werewolf, because it's just exactly what I want a werewolf to look like. Especially like the fight scenes between him and the dog are just fantastic. And let's talk about this dog, Thor, shall we? What an incredible achievement they had here, because, you know, there's a scene where the dogs, I don't know if it's the same dog, if you used like a stunt dog, I don't know if that's a thing, I'm sure it is, but there's a scene where he's like running down the street and cars are coming at him and they're like swerving around him and skidding, and this isn't composite stuff. This isn't green screen. This is a dog on a road and cars are swimming, he's running around him and shit. How they got away with that with like animal people on the set, I have no idea. You know, I know that those kind of people stay on set for everything, which they should. But this must have just been a different time. Or they filmed it in a different country for those scenes. I don't know. But that was an incredible scene. And the dog just like jumping up and biting into the werewolf and fighting it. Like, awesome scenes. God, I love the dog on werewolf action in this movie. It is like, you know, Freddy versus Jason. It's the Titans, you know, it's David versus Goliath going at it. It's just pure awesomeness. I love that buildup, that like showdown. Like, I see you, motherfucker. And he's like sitting outside of his little, you know, trailer all the time. Comes and he pisses on it. And then the other guy gets him taken away and he pisses back on his thing. This movie is literally dog versus werewolf. How much cooler could a fucking werewolf movie be? God, am I a fan of this movie. I like the opening with, after the initial opening, we have the opening introducing us to Dennis the Menace, who, the kid, and Mom, who we get to see her automatically assert her dominance by taking this con man down and being like, no one's fucking with me. Like, we get that kind of, you know, immediate letting the audience know this ain't no chick that's taking no shit. Okay, this ain't gonna be no typical horror movie where the girl's, you know, some damsel in distress. No, this is a hard ass chick and she means business, and I love that. And what's really odd about this movie, and I don't hate it by any means. I don't know. I find it's odd. That's all I can say. I like it because I don't know. Let's get to the point. This film has such a weird, uneven tone where half the movie it feels like a family film, like the music and the melodrama and the family stuff. And then the other half is like this gruesome, dark werewolf movie, and they just like kind of melded them together. And I feel like the music is a big part of that. It's really poor music selection when it comes to the family drama and like the scenes, the intercutting scenes in between. It just feels very like ABC Family movie or something, and it's just odd, and it almost makes you unprepared for scenes as they come, because it'll be playing that really like Harry and the Hendersons like family style music, and then all of a sudden a guy's getting his head crunched into and blood is just spraying everywhere. So I don't know if it's just to unprepare the audience or what, but it's odd. It's very, very odd. Man, the house in this movie, what a beautiful place to live. I love when there's just nice scenery as well. This house is gorgeous. Jesus, I'd like to live there, although they don't look like they probably get very good Wi-Fi or internet. I've lived in small towns out in the middle of nowhere. You can't get internet to save your damn life. It sucks. The idea, like the brother coming to town after he knows he's a werewolf and putting his family in danger to possibly cure himself because he thinks the only thing that might be able to beat this werewolf is love. Which I kind of get, but at the same, I don't really get that. But if that is his idea, I don't know, like putting your sister and her child at risk just on the insanely off chance that love will vanquish the demon. I mean, he is kind of having to think outside the box since he's a werewolf and he never thought that would exist. So maybe, you know, this is going to be like a Beauty and the Beast scenario where love is going to break the spell. But I don't know, just putting a kid in risk like that on, as I said, on an extremely off chance just seemed very reckless and almost too selfish for me to believe he fully loved his family. So yeah, I don't know. And the whole idea of like, towards the end, you can see, and I don't know how werewolves play in this, and I love that the werewolf changes every single night. I wrote a script about a werewolf, and mine had to deal with the fact that a werewolf could change it at any night. And I really like that. I like that he kind of goes through the mythology with the kid, and he's like, who says, like, why can't he change every night? And I love that. But as this goes on, he becomes more wolf than man, even when he's in human form, because then he starts to like antagonize the dog and you know, provoke him to jump on him. And then he goes and he pisses on his house, and he's like, you know, game, set, match, got you, motherfucker. Like, and he's clearly like ragged and torn before he even goes out and tries to tie himself to a tree. But he does try to restrain himself and shackle himself to the tree, even though he is already almost fully committed to the wolf side. So there must have been some left in him, especially towards the end when Thor and him kind of have their last interaction when he's back in human form and he's like, finish me off. So it's almost like a Freddy's Revenge. Yes, I love that fucking movie. Blow me. Where Jesse is just kind of right under the surface and he can always just like, at the right moments, he can just kind of come out and be like, kill me, Lisa. I love that movie. I can't wait to talk about that. I got to get to those soon. And then the con man's death. I get to use my obligatory cunt saying here for that. Oh, thank God he was dead. That was awesome. I love it. He just like rips him up the front. All of his shit opens up. His throat opens up and then he just picks him up and throws him. That's great. This is great stuff there. And that scene, as I said, like when Dennis the Menace comes and he lets Thor out and he jumps over the thing and he's running down the road and it's like, Thor to the rescue. Awesome shit, man. I don't know. I just love that stuff. So cool. And I love that the werewolf in this movie does more punching and like clawing than biting. He's just like, when he comes in, he's just wrecking house, like throwing punches, Mike Tyson style. Yeah, I love that. He grabs the kid by the throat and the kid doesn't get scratched by his nails. That's fairly unbelievable. The mom shoots her gun 8 times with a revolver, which I know that there are 8-shot revolvers, but it did not look like she had an 8-shot revolver, but I could be wrong on that. I'm not saying it is or isn't wrong. I'd have to look at the gun closer to know. I'm not a gun expert or anything, but I would like to know. And another thing that was interesting here that's a little different than a lot of the werewolf movies that we see some of the times is that, and this can be one or the other, like some do it this way and some do it the way that's in this movie, that all the injuries that he sustains as a werewolf, he is still harboring when he comes out into human form again at the end. He's all scratched up, he's fucking bit, he's been shot. She shot him 8 times. When he went back to human form, he should have been dead. So I don't know if you can kill a werewolf the exact same way, because at the beginning, they just blow his head off. And he's like, yeah, I bet if he blew his fucking head off, like that would do him in. And it's like, did she just miss all of his vital organs, or at least ones that wouldn't kill him instantly when she shot him? As I said, I always think way too much into these things, but why not? We're breaking it down. It's the only time I'm ever going to talk about it. The fact that the dog gets taken away because he's a suspect in the killing of that con man, the kid comes and breaks him out of the pound, and then he goes and kills a man who happens to be his owner's brother on basically her property. How are they going to explain that? Because they're not going to believe he was a werewolf, I could tell you that. So they're going to find his, like, absolutely desecrated remains everywhere. They're going to be just ripped apart. Like Thor annihilated that guy at the end, probably. He ripped his throat out, the whole thing. And his body was already mutilated. So I'm curious. I mean, she's a lawyer, though. She's a lawyer. There you go. There's your answer. She lawyered her the fuck out. She lawyered her way the fuck out of that. I like how that at the end of this movie we get, I hate like fake out dreams, and I especially hate fake out dream endings. Oh, that's so stupid. But it's interesting that, and I talk about this a lot. I talk about this in the Mouth of Madness thing, where I was like, it sucks that they built that whole wall of monsters to only be seen on screen for like a second. Same thing here. We get to see the werewolf dog, because I was wondering, like, if a dog gets scratched, it doesn't become, I guess it's not a cross-species thing. It can only infect humans. But they made a werewolf-looking dog who jumps at the screen, and it's only for 1 second. And those special effects guys had to make that dog knowing it would only be on the screen for 1 second. So that'd be crazy. Ken Kurziger is the werewolf in this, the guy who plays Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, guys, if you haven't seen this movie, absolutely check it out. I hope you have if you're watching at this point. If not, please check it out. It is one of the coolest werewolf movies. It's my favorite, but I think it's absolutely worth checking out. All right, guys.